Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. We shipping it to yes, that is the plan. uh Everything is functional. This will be version 1.0. I'm sure that there's going to be something someone pulls up is like, hey, this thing didn't actually work at all when I tried it. Which that's what fixes are for. But yeah, so just to catch everyone up. Hi, I'm Valgan. I do programming and development for VRChat prefabs and standalone stuff in Unity, and we've been working on a generatable menu system for VRChat worlds. So we have a full system here that we can pick our tabs, pick our pages, and pick what goes on those pages, and we press the build menu button, and it just does the whole thing, and it works in VRChat. And this has been a long-standing project, and I think, fingers crossed, we are going to be releasing it after this stream. So we're going to be doing the cleanup, we're going to be doing documentation, and we're going to be putting in comments in our code everywhere, and probably having a slightly better demo scene than 2 boxes. But yeah, so let's jump into this. Let's see here. For the let's actually, I think I'm actually going to make a second scene because we have our demo, but I also want a prototyping scene, which is basically this scene. World UI prototyping. And the demo itself is going to be the actual one that looks good. But we don't need the one over here that I built all of these assets in our demo for end users. But yeah, okay, let's go ahead and let's actually start today by making a quick environment for this. So the menu is going to have a few different things like toggles, volume sliders, post-processing. So we just need a really basic environment to do that in. So I'm gonna whip up Blender here quick, and we can just do a incredibly basic little room kind of thing. There we go. Yeah, maybe even like a little show floor lot. Kind of what I did for the localization prefab that I have. So let's do that. Bonk. Alright, so this will be the environment that has the menu, and we want just some generic things that you'd have in VRChat worlds, like, I don't know, a TV, a couch, posters, and we can make all of those out of incredibly basic cubes. So that'll let us get everything going pretty quickly here. There we go. And then the back of the couch, just a little bit higher. There we go. Should we compare this to our dude over here? It looks good. Alright, give it a bevel. Drop the bottom faces so we don't have to worry about that. I don't care about that too much. Alright. Let's get this set up. Screw it. We'll just put it here and have everything be pretty basic. We'll have a cube for the TV. That looks roughly TV resolution. We aren't actually going to have a video player or anything, but Shelf. Let's have some cubes for posters. Okay, so let's think about what we're demoing. We're gonna have a slider for volume. We're gonna have a slider for post-processing. We're going to have the menu itself be accessible somewhere, and one of the features that the system has is the ability to move the menu based on where you are in the world. So I'll probably want a secondary environment that's off to the left, and we'll just invert whatever colors we're using there for moving the menu. Let's give this wood, just kind of an off desaturated tan, back a little bit. Yeah. Bit more red, bit darker. Oops. Alright. And our couch will be green, sure. It's a boring generic color for a couch. Then TV will be black plastic. Let's drop all the way down. The shelf will be wood. We'll have posters be red because everyone hates posters. So they'll be really blatant and obnoxious. And we need a wall color. Honestly, I think maybe an off blue gray. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. There we go. We'll swap these for wood there. We'll basically do the inverse on this side. So this will get wall, and up here we'll get wood. Another couch over here. And then we're going to have something else that we want to show off is the quality system. So we're going to have 3 tiers of quality for a lamp. Fortunately, lamps are very easy. Crap, I keep forgetting this song is on this playlist. Hold on. Let's see. This is Quiet Forest from Kirby. Alright, let's skip over to Planet Popstar. There we go. I really need to just make my own playlist instead of relying on ones that I find on the internet. Alright, this is our tier 1 lamp. It's surprisingly a lot of work. Well, yeah, I need like 2 hours worth of video game music. Which is particularly annoying to do, actually, if I'm not going to dedicate like 2 hours on a weekend to figure it out. We'll have a thing on here that's just a missive. I'll do 0.5. There we go. When picking a bunch of tracks for stream background music. Yeah. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is I'm actually going and taking the lamp that I have and kind of detailing it more and more as I go along, just to try to get a way to justify using a quality system on it. Oops. Alright, there we go. Those are 3 tiers of lamp quality. This last one looks like it could be a bit higher quality. I'll give it a give it the auto smooth. Bump that up to 50. Yeah, okay. Lamp LOD0. Lamp LOD1. I think Unity automatically imports LOD components if you use this naming scheme, but I could be wrong. I need a empty plane axis. There we go. This will just be called Womp. And Control P, parent objects. And don't have a lot familiar with that. Yeah, no worries. Alright, the more I look at this, the more I hate this brown. I'm gonna give it a bit more red, a bit less saturation, and a bit darker. Alright. I feel like I do need a bit more room on either side if I'm going to be trying to fit the what is it? Trying to fit the menu on both sides. According to the docs, the naming convention is mesh name underscore LOD0. Okay, yeah. So that was what I was doing. I've just never used this feature before, so I wasn't quite certain. All right. Let's put the lamp over here by the couch. Or let's put it here by the couch. And then we can have the UI here or here, depending on what part of the map you're on. All right, perfect. Get rid of the reference frame there. And select everything that isn't the lamp and join that into one mesh. Demo and oh wait, no. I also don't want to use get the posters. So I guess I'll just manually get these. Environment. We'll merge in the posters. Posters. And that leaves the environment, the lamp, and the posters. Perfect. Let's swap over to Unity. Have a demo folder. This will have our models in it. That way people will feel safe in deleting a demo folder if it's if they're trying to save space or something. We'll use a period on that so we don't end up importing the Blender file, because I don't want to do that. Alright, and sure enough, we got our LED imported. Now, granted, I don't actually want to use the LED component. I will be using the quality toggle that I actually built in. So we'll be dropping that. And let's turn off the mesh render on the floor. Oh, I'll leave the collider there, but this light, you be slightly yellow. Okay. Let's take our menu here and slap it up against the wall. Oop. Keeps trying to focus on this thing down here. It's just the place that the teleport module interface gets put. Hello, y'all. Caught you live again. Yeah. It's tough from the other side of the earth. Ah, no worries, no worries. I have a few friends over in Australia, and none of them have remotely similar sleep schedules if they have sleep schedules. So I understand the pain many people over there must be experiencing of trying to line anything up with people elsewhere in the world. Alright, box collider, expand. Boop. Alright. For context, this is the menu placement tool that I have. So it gives you a highlight of how big the menu is and where it gets put when you enter this area. Because we have this menu selected, so it knows exactly the size of it, so it knows how much space it will be taking up on the wall. And I'm going to be doing exactly duplicating that, moving that over, and swapping that minus to a plus... Wait, it's slightly off still. Oh, curious. Oh well. Wait, unless I just... Oh yeah, okay. I just didn't put the menu in the right spot. So, menu gets put at 2. There we go. Oh right, we need to actually put a mesh collider on this before I start walking around. I guess technically it would have been fine because we have the plain floor. But then we'd hit the walls. Alright. Menu. For our first settings, general, we will have posters. This will toggle the posters object. For boxes, let's actually swap this out to couches. And actually go back into Blender and separate out the couches. Couches, we will remove unused slots. Here, do that. Okay. And now we go to our lamp and we set this up with the quality stuff. So if we just do quality object, 1 will only be active for high, 0 will only be active for high, 1 will be active for medium, and 2 will be active for low. Let's go ahead and build menu. And make sure that's working. This is also one of the songs that I kind of want to remove from this playlist because it very much puts me to sleep. Museum, Animal Crossing. Let's skip to this one. So if I'm over here, the menu's there. If I'm over there, the menu's here. Full screen this actually. So you see we have the high quality, quote unquote, high quality mirror there. Though this does appear to be backwards, which I'm curious about. Did I just name them inverse? Oh yeah, I named them all backwards. Lower number is higher quality for LODs, not inverse. It makes sense. It's just I forgot. Alright. So now if we look at this again, bonk, bonk. Yeah, alright. That's perfectly matching our preferred quality setting. And then if we turn on posters, we get all the posters on the wall. And if we turn on couches, we get all the couches lying around. And then volume and post-processing. These are both things that I'll have to set up an example for. These spawns will take us different places, but I need to set up some actual ones instead of just in the void like this. I also want to move the collider for this slightly over, so you're not constantly accidentally triggering it. Menu placement region left, and menu placement region right. some water. VRC world, you need to be on land. There we go. So make a thing here called teleports. This will be TV, right couch, and left couch. You don't have to go very far in this world to do anything, but might as well have the teleports, I guess. Yeah, okay. You go here, go to our teleports. Spawn just has spawn. Stage, we'll swap to furniture. Right couch. Oh. I'm realizing now that this is modifying a prefab. So I guess this proves whether or not the this system works as a prefab. Which honestly isn't something I tried. Alright. So if we hit play, I should be able to use the teleports to go to those 3 locations. Alright, the spawn. That takes us to the spawn. Furniture. This should take us to the right couch. Whoa, it's the right couch. And this one should take us to the left couch. Whoa, it's the left couch. Perfect. Alright, all very simple stuff, but I'm glad that it's proving it's working. What should I put in for the credits? Should I put my my full patrons list in that? You gotta be lazy. Maybe I missed something. What do you mean? Oh, to teleport to a couch. Yeah, yeah. Does this auto wrap? No, it doesn't. Okay. Alright. How does this look when I'm writing in the description? Oh, right. I keep forgetting that when I make changes to the menu, I have to press the build menu button. I don't want that to be automatic, because if someone uses it to generate a menu and then makes a few tweaks, I don't want those tweaks to be completely lost on build. Alright, so if I do that, it just stretches upwards like this. What do I need to fix that? I actually don't know how to force scale a text element. Oh. Well, that's not the use case I wanted for that. The thing that I want to do is have multiple lines in a builder label description. I'm just not entirely sure how to do that because the multi-line attribute is kind of annoying. Because it uses IM GUIs for its rendering, which locks you out of any customization and gives you like a forced size on some stuff. Here, let's take a look at it actually quickly. All right, so this is just using that description. Yeah, so if I do text area, min lines, I guess 1. Can you have a max? Well, can you have no max? Let's see what happens if I put it to be 1, because by default it makes it 3 tall, which is honestly always annoying. Here, patron description. Okay, yeah, it does this. I guess that does work. I guess technically undoing does work on this. It's just a bit annoying because every time you undo it, unselects the current page stuff. That will definitely be one of those nice to haves in the future. But I don't think I can really aim for that on launch. Yeah, I've got credits there. Just put that a bunch of times. Build menu. Yeah. Okay. This certainly works. Let's grab a big old set of lorem ipsum. Feature add on it. It's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying. There's got to be a website for lorem ipsum generation, right? Lorem ipsum generator. Perfect. I want 2 paragraphs. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. That was a big old pile of lorem ipsum. I don't like that it looks like it's pushing off the top. Is this not resizing for this? So if we disable that, actually let's go ahead and disable the other pages. The title label's here. Description label is here. The description label isn't scaling to fit its size. Let's try giving this a content size fitter, vertical fit, preferred size. Nope. Control child size. Do I have to give this a layout element? Let's let the Google honestly on this one. Let's see. Unity text mesh pro layout element expand. Let's see. Layout groups, blah 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 blah. I want to do it with this component specifically. You don't need to do this, but TMP text child layout group content size fitter. Choose preferred size for. Yeah, I thought that's what I. Alright, content size fitter, vertical fit, preferred. Is it because it's set to middle left? I do have a lot of layout things for this. There's a lot of things that could be affecting its height. Yeah, so this is going to need to be able to expand outwards, or it's not going to work as a label. If we do upper left, How does this auto expand? This has always been one of those things I've never quite been able to figure out. Is getting getting TextMesh Pro to automatically expand out for this, depending on the size of its stuff. Because it's obviously here. It's obviously sized like this. But I don't know if I need to... TextMesh Pro... Alright, this might be a bit of a Googling stream. Alright, so I guess in the meantime, we poke around on a few other things. We can get our post-processing set up. So let's go ahead and add post-processing. We'll give it a... Is there a create post-processing thing? I'll just do one. Brightness. We need some profile volumes. So we'll go post-processing, we do create, where is it on this list? Every Unity version, and I'm using a lot of them, changes the order of the create menu. So brightness. All right, brightness will secretly be darkness because it's the easier one. So we'll do color grading, and the only thing we'll enable is post exposure -2. So we'll give it a post processing volume. There we go. Oh. And we'll put that on the, for some reason that water is like the layer everyone uses for it. But let's go to our camera, post processing layer, and use water. Now if we drag the slider around, see it gets darker. Now since I'm doing that, our world UI system, we'll go to our settings, post processing, brightness. We actually have a bool here for inverting this value. So that lets us drag in brightness, which is secretly darkness, and instead of applying 1, it applies 0 or 0 and 1, vice versa. So now, if I just go ahead and set that to be 0 on the weight, we'll hit play and test it out. We'll do post-processing. Crap, just done nothing. Is this perhaps because the VRC world wasn't told to use this camera? No, it was. Okay. Is it perhaps because I didn't hit the build menu button? New feature addition, red outline on the build menu button when there's changes. Awesome, there we go. Brightness slider fully works. Awesome. We will have one volume slider in here because I don't want to put a bunch of audio into the project. Nice. Can the light box blend from day to night also? You mean the skybox? I don't have a system set up for that, but you can definitely have a how would you do that? Because you'd be controlling the rotation of the directional light for if you're using the default post-processing, the default skybox. That just handles everything based on the rotation here. But that might be a bit more of a bespoke setup. It might be something that would be useful for people, so I can definitely add that as a module in the future. But, yeah, curious. Let's add a thing for audio source. Plural, but there's only going to be one. Music. We'll have a new audio source on this. Play on awake, loop, 2D, no Doppler. And we will give it MIDI demo loop. MIDI demo loop is, let me actually quickly pause the music so you can hear this beautiful track. Yeah, so that's just that's just an audio file included in the VR chat project. Let me know if that didn't come over, but it's just some random tune that was done for the release of MIDI as a supported feature of the VR chat SDK. But it is certainly a track. And as such, we will add it to settings, volume. We won't need a second one, so we'll do this first one. Sources, bonk. Do music, and default value of off. This description will be, this music may be very annoying. All love to Momo, the person on the VR chat staff who made it. It is not a track for me. I just cleared my player data there, so we can test this with fresh values and know that I have the music off by default. Well, the music was almost off by default. It did in fact play for a brief moment, which is good to know actually. Post-processing. This value defaults to 1. Oh, okay. So this default doesn't think about the invert, because the invert is just something... oh, maybe that should be changed. The default value of an invert should be respected correctly. Let's go to the slider post-processing. Where would that be? Is that not what's going on here? My value is called from set bowl, so these should be set float without notify. Set float is done by WUI slider on component use. Okay. Okay. I think for now I'll just have to let it use the inverted value. Okay. It's a little annoying, but well, let's speaking of annoying, let's make sure our music slider is working. It is certainly working. We got our couches, we got our posters, and we have our low quality lamp versus our high quality lamp. All right, let's go and set some proper defaults. So if we're looking at these, oh, these are all defaulted to true as well. Is it not using the default value? Alright, well, let's look at our slider post-processing. Slider post-processing has an invert value here. Invert value works there. Actually, no, let's start with the toggle, because that's the one we're looking at. Specifically, the toggle object. The toggle object doesn't have an invert value on itself, so... Wait, no. Toggle base default. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So it has instance set default value. Bool value. What's that? When is that being overwritten? Oh, I think it's because these values aren't serialized. So the changes during the build just get lost. We don't care about user visibility for these values, so we'll just have hide and inspector on it. Honestly, that alone might be even the issues with the sliders. We'll find out. Build the menu. Delete existing player data. Play. Alright, well, toggles are off. Volume is off, and music is off, and brightness is off. That's still not doing what I want it to. If these default values aren't working, then that's effectively a stopper. So we're gonna have to get that working. Okay, so we care about the onload for things. When is this happening? When is this loading data from persistence? That would be from WUI menu. WUI menu is calling variables there. On initial value loaded. Okay. We put those out for these. So if there isn't a value, but if this fails, float value shouldn't be changed. Let's just log it before and after. Object name, float value. Gotten value. Good enough. Actually, let's do this for the bools because that will be easier to guarantee right now. I get bool out bool value. Since we're just dealing with toggles, it'll be a lot more obvious what the intended state is. Alright, so let's look at our settings, generals. Default true, and let's clear that. Build menu, and hit play. So we're going to watch down in our console, and this will tell us all about the toggles that activate. Eventually, when VRC, when Unity builds, or goes into play mode at least. All right, posted bool value 0, gotten bool value 0. Okay, so it's still 0 at the start. Okay. So in that case, oh wait. Oops. This is what I get for copying code. I didn't actually change that. What my guess is, while Unity is sticking here, if player data try get bool doesn't find an existing value, it puts out that variable's default values, which would, for a bool, would be false. I don't know this, but I believe that is the case. Quickly, player data, get bool. Yep, okay, yeah. So if it fails, it defaults to false. Actually, okay. In that case, for each one of these, we need an intermediary value. Then we'll do if on this, and then else. Alright, so float value equals float val. Else, we don't care about overriding it. Okay. So now we just need to do this setup on these two as well. It just needs another one there and there. So this will be int val, and int value equals int val bool val, and bool value equals bool val. Okay. Yeah, because if you have an out variable on a function, it has to write to that at least once to compile. So I'm not surprised that they ended up having to just set it to the default value. It just means that my system, where I was automatically pumping into the value, was just ignoring the existing one. Oh hey, the toggles are on now. Cool. Let's clear that. And just for my sanity, I'm going to set the volume of the MIDI demo loop to 0 by default. So the toggle should be on, brightness should be on. Okay, the toggles are on, perfect. Music is off, brightness is there. There we go. So let's clear this, go to our menu, we'll go to our post-processing, and I'll default this to 0 and see how that behaves. Okay. So we want this weight to be at 0 if the brightness is at max. So there is activated. Go back to post-processing. Do 1 and make sure it just does the same thing. Because what I think just happened is it was dark no matter what. Yeah, it's dark both times, no matter what that value is. So we need to figure out where that value is getting lost. So let's look at, let's just close a million things. All right, we care about the WUI slider post-processing. All right, set values, invert value. All right, default values. Set value without notify. Default. Oh, does the sliders set values not actually write to the float value? Or is display slider value? No, okay. Alright, so yeah, it was never storing the float value. What's default value used for then? Huh. Alright. It just never stored that value. Alright. Float value equals default value. And then, when we do that, post-processing, we want, let's see, invert value question mark 1 minus default or default. Actually, one minus for these only works here. I guess that's fine. Yeah, because these, yeah, we don't have a invert value by default for normal sliders. So since we know what this range is, we don't have to do like an inverse lerp to get it. In that case, post-processing WUI slider volume probably has the same. Oh, hiccups. Probably has the same issue. So, default, we'll do this invert value check here. And instance set element fields is just the same because it's on a WUI element. But WUI slider set values. Okay, this all looks to be the same. Okay. In that case, this should work now. Alright, we'll go ahead. We'll delete our player data as soon as Unity lets us. There we go. Player data. We go to post-processing, set our brightness to 1, build menu, play. It should stay bright. Crap. Well, let's flip it and see if the issue's still there. We got 0, play. Okay. So that time we did get a difference. Which has me a little confused, because I thought we just dealt with that. Oh, right. So what's happening here? We are telling the default value to be this. But that isn't actually a thing that down here cares about. Because the float value is just the float value. So I think this actually just has to be default, and that gets applied. That doesn't feel satisfying. I want a good way for this to work. Hmm. All right, let's clear that. Go settings, post-processing, brightness, default brightness of 1. That looks like it's working. Okay. And just to verify, clear that. Settings, post-processing, value 0. Build menu, play. Okay, yeah, so it is working now. It was just the other values that we weren't getting to work correctly. Cool. In that case, we can continue on. Post-processing, default 1. Save, and we are going to take another look at this label. I'll disable those pages. We'll look at this one. So I think this label, we need to have a content size fitter on itself. That's it. Okay. Because Text Mesh Pro, these labels are kind of their own layout element. And like, this text is technically a child of it. That's a hidden object. It's complicated. But I think that means we need a content size fitter on most of this. I did a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, because this one, I can put preferred size here. And it makes the height of this thing 429. This one is still set to 80. So if I do content size fitter, vertical fit, preferred, that does that. So this is 460. Title here, middle left. This one is still 80. Oh, and this is manually controlled. Alright, now it's not manually controlled. So this one is also now 460. 80. This one, oh, it's because I didn't have control child height on this. Preferred size. Oh, this is still 80. This title is at 530 tall, so this header should be, is it because I have a preferred height set on here? Okay, that might be it. Alright, everything seems to be expanding out correctly now. So let's go ahead and apply these changes we've made. It's a lot of content size fitters. This one was already here. We don't need to change that. Just go ahead and let's rebuild it to see what breaks. Right. It was this preferred height we needed to disable. Okay, so now we can regenerate this. It's a little bit wonky in terms of when it resolves, but it looks like it's laying out correctly now. So just double check and make sure this is right. Yep. Okay. So if I swap to credits, crap, it's still up there. Let's see if it still does this when I disable strip layout during build. UI layout elements can cause UI to be rebuilt a lot, and I remove those during the build process to help with performance stuff. But obviously it's being a bit weird here. So let's just see if it still does it. It'll probably break again now. Okay. I wonder if it's an order issue. So if we're looking at the TextMove Pro here, isn't this what needed a content size fitter? Am I wrong? I guess it was this. Okay. Let's look at the order at which things are getting stripped during the build process. This is in the editor folder, I think. Editor, here we go. We layout stripper. Forces rebuilds. It destroys content size fitters first, then layout groups, then layout elements. What happens if I disable a content size fitter? Okay, so it just keeps the previous value. The reason I'm curious is because it might be worth disabling all these things before I destroy them. So let's try that. Alright, we shouldn't have to rebuild, but might as well. No harm in it. Okay, yeah, it's still shoving that up during the layout. It's kind of annoying, actually. That means that content size fitters are the one thing that is... okay. Content size fitters for Text Mesh Pro are the one thing that are... breaking this build process. I wonder if Text Mesh Pro has a specific version of Force Update. Text Mesh Pro Force Update. Okay, I guess I can just get a reference to all of them. So, Text Mesh Pro UGUI labels roots dot get components children. Text Mesh Pro UGUI true. So we're going to start with a for each labels label dot force mesh update true, and then label dot enabled equals false. So that should force it to be in the most up-to-date state for the mesh. But I feel like that might need to happen before this section here. Yeah. Alright, we update the meshes, we update the canvases. So let's say just do this here. So now we'll hit play, and we'll make sure it does the thing. And if it has exactly the same behavior, I don't know. Right. We don't actually want to disable the labels. My bad. Alright. Play. Nope. Unfortunate. We're obviously not getting any change by disabling them, so we'll just get rid of that. We're not getting any change by doing the force mesh update. Fascinating. I'm unsure what is causing this. Oh well. We disable content size fitters first before layout groups. If we do that after layout groups, That's probably going to break things, but I want to check. Content size fitters need to be removed before layout elements, but yeah, it's still the same behavior. Let's see what happens if I do them last. I remember having an issue with doing this, but I don't remember what it was. We will find out. I may just have to put a parentheses experimental thing. And just leave the layout on. Okay. Unfortunate, but yeah. Oops, not what I want. Alright. Let's go to strip build out. There, build. We'll default this to false. WUI menu builder has a editor here. Where is the... Am I just naturally populating the first ones? Dev field, page, serialize, title, page list, tab info, tab list, clone tree. Okay. I think I'll have to change that in UI Builder. Once it compiles. There we go. Alright, menu builder. So we got our label, we got our menu builder button, prefab library, root, strip layout during build. Okay, so this binds directly to that. Can I declare a specific label here and not have it overwritten? Strip layout, parentheses, experimental. Okay, yeah, that overwrites it. Alright. So I guess I'll just have to leave that off by default, which means we don't get those performance savings, but it's fine. There's a lot of other things in your VR chat worlds that are causing more problems than this. Alright. Build menu. Play. We'll just look at it. Yep, okay. This all looks fine. Alright. Builder is working. Outside of the thing we had to disable. But for now, that means we can move on to proper documentation. So, bonk. Oh, it highlighted the wrong rider. Bang. There we go. So I've actually, here, let me go ahead and open a folder for this. Where is GitHub? Am I blind? Oh, I don't have GitHub desktop on my toolbar down there. So we have World UI documentation. If I open Show and Explorer, we have a few things in here. Most of these are just auto-generated by Rider. Like we have our git ignore, we have encodings, layout, and workspace. But in here, oh wait, I don't want solution 1. Wait, what is that? I'll get rid of that because I think that's an auto-generated rider file. Let's go back. World UI documentation. All right, so I recreated it, but without the wonky stuff. Cool. All right, so this is what documentation looks like. I know it's completely empty, but this is a markdown file called README. The way I do my documentation is by having a public GitHub repository for the documentation. Sorry, I'm getting into seated mode. Yeah, so this is a markdown file, and markdown files, if named README, automatically show at the front of your GitHub page if they're in the root directory, I believe. Excuse me. They also let you embed images into them, and I'm going to do that through a folder over here that's just labeled media. If I do hello, this is info. Like, this is the area we can type. But if I click this up here, this will show us the full thing on the right for the output. So if I want this to be a header, I can put a hashtag or ampersand, not ampersand, the pound sign, whatever, there. And I can make it smaller by adding up to 4. Now, this is what I've done with a lot of my documentation in the past, such as the stuff for Hex Tool. So I'm actually going to be very heavily referencing my work on Hex Tool for this. Oh, where'd my stream go? Oh, there it is. Cool, cool. Yeah. Firefox, where have you gone? I'm trying to use you as reference. There we go. All right, so we're gonna have world UI documentation. Now, if I want to have an image, we'll do exclamation point bracket, then the title of it. This will be world UI banner. And then a relative file path. So we'll do /media. And we don't actually have a file yet, so what am I going to call this? World UI banner.png. So when I get a file, it'll just use that. So let's figure out how we're going to break this out. I think the first and foremost thing are a description. So description, instructions, It's gonna update? Guess not. Is it just breaking on this? No, it just doesn't want to update. Curse you, Ryder. You're so great 90% of the time. Alright, we'll have a description for things, for what the whole project is. We'll have instructions on what to do, thing by thing. And then we're going to have a more specific feature library, because we're going to have documentation for all of our sliders, be like post-processing, volume, and stuff like that. And that all needs to be in like some kind of list of features. But I don't want to call it features, because normally if you see the description features on something, it's a very short list that's used in your description. Oh, well. Here, we'll just have elements and be like a list of stuff. I'm actually like more annoyed than I should be that this isn't updating whatsoever. I'm curious why it's doing that. Maybe if I close Ryder and reopen it. This is a common fix for Ryder. This has in fact somehow made it worse. I've not run into that one before, I'll be honest. Well, it is Visual Studio Code time, which many people argue to be objectively the better editor for Markdown. Alright, so let's go to... Where do I store GitHub? Unity, GitHub. I'm looking for World UI documentation. Select folder. Alright, donk. This also gives us a preview. There we go. So I will close Ryder for this then. My big complaint about VS Code is that if you want the font size to be bigger, it scales the entire UI. You can't independently scale the font size. Alright, let's take a look at where'd OBS go? There it is. Let's take a look at the list of things you can add. So I'm just going to snipping tool this list and move that over here. Go back to VS Code. Oh, what's the formatting for a table? I think it's pipe 1 2 3 pipe 1 2 3 pipe. And then before that you do pipe label pipe. There we go. And then beyond that, we'll do okay. Yeah, so that's the formatting for tables. So I can just do ba 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 ba. And this is how we'll be writing our documentation for honestly everything. Yeah, anything that we have a big list of things with a bunch of similar information. Excuse me. So build a dropdown. A dropdown. We'll expand this out later. But I'm just going to fill out these values here. This is largely going to be skeletonizing a lot of this, because once I get this, well, skeletonized, we're going to actually start going back through the code and commenting and cleaning that up. Because mentally, going over all of my code is going to make me a lot more prepared to write the documentation for all of my code. Let's go ahead and do builder label, builder single select, and builder single select quality. Oh, maybe we'll have a base types and then variants. Then we can put stuff like this down here. Yeah, okay. I like that. So we'll do builder slider. Builder slider post processing. And then builder slider volume. Up here for teleport. Toggle. Write this down here for toggle objects. There we go. So these are all the elements that we have implemented for this thing, with functionally no descriptions. But I think this will probably be the main skeleton of what the documentation ends up looking like. Oh crap, I forget that they do that when you hit save. I forget that it automatically formats this table. I get that it's more legible, but it's a lot harder to edit because now this is all a bunch of independent spaces. So the moment I go like I was like, okay, well this is all not sized right. And that fix only works if I'm doing this in VS Code. Like I don't get that fix in Rider. I don't get that fix in the GitHub text editor, which after the initial release of my documentation is the main place where I update my documentation. But oh well, I guess I'll let it run for now. But yeah, okay, we can close that and I can go off of my display capture, go back to auto switching. And we are going to dive in to the code. So let's just go ahead, close all of these. Nothing there. Modules. Yeah, okay, we got stuff there. No code there. And a lot here. Nothing in sprites. Styling, yep. Okay. So we have, let's actually do a little bit of math here. Let's look for scripts in World UI. I have 61 of these. There are 61 separate scripts that are going to need some proper documentation in them. So let's just look at the base ones that we can build out from. So we have WUI menu. This is the Udon Sharp script that sits on your menu, and the only thing that it does is when your player data is restored, right at the start of the game, it tells all of the elements that care about that to update their values. The reason it does that instead of all the elements independently doing that is because on your menus, only one page is active. So if there's any of these toggles or stuff on pages that are inactive, they're not going to receive this event because their game object is disabled. So this root object just does that. I am in fact going to basically just do exactly that. I'm going to write that as the code summary. Bundles. Is to notify all bindables when all right. I misspelled receive, but it's literally the I before E except after C. There's a C. All right, we've done it. We've documented one of the scripts. It might be good to give some kind of list here, but honestly, I don't think I need to do anything on this. I'll just give a summary. Is element.menu ever used? It is not. Okay. I can go ahead and remove that. Perfect. I think that was going to be when I had the prefab lookups done off of this script itself, but I broke that out into their own scriptable objects and resource file lookups so that you don't have to modify this script if you ever want to add an additional feature. All right. I wish I had a good way of saying this script has been commented. All right. Well, I guess we can just step through it. So WUI menu, that looks for WUI bindables. WUI bindables to go from WUI elements, which is WUI behavior. Man, I wish we could have interfaces and not just infinite inheritance. All right, WUI behavior is the base behavior used for all of the components of this project. The main feature of it is that you can have a bound element. This is a lot more useful for runtime stuff, but is how a lot of different modules are set up to work. Though obviously it's only set right now with the empty value and the int value. We don't have a reporting for float or bool in any built-in implementations. But essentially, any WUI bindable, here we go, yeah, any of these have a float, an int, or a bool value depending on what binding type they are. And if so, if you bind it to another game object, such as like this one, that basically just means, hey, when this value is set, or when this float value up here is set, we report back to, here we go, run binding complex. We basically look through all of the targets for this binding and report that number over to them. So let's say you had some really fancy lighting system and you want your slider to go do the thing. Well, your system could check to see if it's a specific element, and if so, change values because of that. It's a lot more useful when you're manually building a UI, but the automated creation here kind of simplifies this a bit. But there's a lot of situations where you could easily use this tooling for a manually created UI. Let's see here. I'm sure one of the first big feature requests I'm gonna get for a lot of this is options for synced settings, and I just haven't done that yet. It's a good like 1.1 feature. It's behavior for all Udon features of World UI. This can be targeted by WUI bindables. Report changes in their float, int, or bool value. Or simply report a callback. Action occurred. Does occurred have 2 R's? No, it has 1. Alright. Now we go to WUI bindable. Base behavior for binding value changes and foreign callbacks. All right, let's look at this. Do All right, reports an update from specific WUI bindable. State has changed. Then we'll do reports an update of specifically bindable. When it's int, and then we'll swap this to be bool. All right. Oh, we need comments on the init. So I don't use the start function. I use the init function, which is a custom one that I made that allows me to inherit over it. Normally, you can make start a virtualized function in Unity, but for the Udon compiler, base Unity features such as that can't be done that way. So we basically use start as just a called wrapper to init, and this allows us to do multiple things in the first function, but also check to see whether or not start is run yet. Which normally you would do that kind of initialization on awake, which we don't have in Udon. But you could do this dot, isn't there like has run awake? Or is that in a newer version of Unity? Maybe that's for the world, the UI behavior components? I should recall. There are better ways to do this, just not for Udon, fortunately. Let's check here. All right, so WUI behavior. Now we have WUI element. Oh, yeah. So one of the big things that I'm going to want to... okay, yeah. Actually, I will open VS Code here very quickly. Because one of the things that I want to add in here is an attribute section. Because one of the big things that I've done for this is built out a bunch of custom attributes. And they do a lot of things. But since I'm on the topic right now, one of the big ones that we actually do is here, find object. So this is a public reference to a script called WUI menu sounds. This is just the thing that lets me play a sound somewhere on the menu. But find object just means that during the post process of like you hitting play and it thinking a bunch, during that thinking process, it finds any WUI menu sounds in the project and uses that. Now, I'm realizing that might be a bit of a problem when there's multiple of it in the scene. But it's probably fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. But yeah, I have a lot of features like that, like find object, find a parent. So this looks for a component on the parent game object. Find object array, this just finds all of the things of a specific type. Find siblings, so this looks for a array of components that are right next to each other in the same hierarchy. And then find children. I guess find children is just strict children instead of children of children. Find children, get components and children. Oh yeah, it's just a get components and children that runs during build. Okay. But yeah, one of the main reasons we do this is because while you can do find, like GameObject.find and then pass a specific name, it's very not performant. This is one of the reasons why we don't have find object of type in Udon, because it's just not performant. But like doing get component and stuff, a lot of these references need to be done like right away, but we don't have to do that through Udon. One of the big problems with doing that is if you have a bunch of code going on in your start function, that makes joining a VR chat world take that much more time. And depending on the performance cost of whatever this lookup is that you're doing, it can start to stack up. There's a world that I did with a friend a while back that was a 10,000 piece maze, essentially, that did a bunch of stuff like that. And while it ran fine enough on PC, at the time Quest 1 was the big thing. Quest 1 would go for 10 seconds during its startup and time out. You literally couldn't load the world because of the performance overhead of like the Git components and everything like that. So ended up swapping it to be done in the build process, and that fixed everything. It just means that all of your variables for them need to be serialized, but functionally Udon doesn't care about that because Udon's weird. There's not really a difference between public and private, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, so let's head back to, where's WUI element? There we go. Well, I guess we did just hit the ending here. I feel like I haven't done that much. Oh, probably because I spent most of the time bug fixing this friggin' UI. Oh well. Luckily for everyone here, I will not be boring people with continuing this stream next week, because I'll just do a bunch more of this tonight and then put a release out. I might get everything packaged and then release it tomorrow, depending on timing. I'm not actually sure on that one, because if it's like 10 o'clock and I'm still working on this, then yeah, I'm not releasing it tonight. No one's going to be awake. Release imminent. Yes. Everything is coming together. All the features are working, except for the one that I've had to label experimental because it has some strange behaviors for strip layout. But it's working. And the documentation stuff is well on its way to getting pieced together. I do at least want to have is VS Code still open? Yeah. I do want to have this documentation built out a little bit at least before we do any kind of release, because people need to know how to open the thing, how to place a menu in your scene, and what's expected for moving things around. But I definitely want to flesh out the code comments a bit more, but those can definitely come in time if I need to rush stuff. And with the massive amount of inheritance that's being used in this, every script has some kind of documentation already. I see I built out a public reference for a rec transform and never used it. I probably used it for something that I ended up dropping. I wonder if I should just get rid of it now. I should probably keep it, because it's good to have a reference for that kind of thing. Realistically, you don't have to do a get component for rec transform. You can actually just cast a transform. You just do that, because rec transforms inherit from transform. Yeah, just right here. Which I think casting an existing variable is cheaper than doing a get component in Udon. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. I don't know. We'll find out. Actually, we won't find out. I'm not going to test that tonight. But yeah, I think this is... I think we'll be good to go. I haven't run into any bugs, and we have a functional demo scene here for moving back and forth once it compiles. Come on, Unity. Alright, one last show off of this before I go get me some supper. Yeah, so we can come over here. We have the lorem ipsum that is being used for the credits here for the Patreon tier 1 people. We have the teleports for teleporting to spawn. But we have the main thing up here is our settings. So we have slider for brightness. We have volume, which is the volume of this horrible music thing. And the posters toggle. So, bump, bump, bump. And the couches toggle, which is right there as well. And if we go over here, this moves the menu over here. We can go over here and do that. But we can actually compare the quality settings for this. So we have the low quality lamp, the medium quality lamp, and the high quality lamp. They're all slightly different. You might have to just take my word for it. But with that, everything's pretty much working. Yeah. I think this music is the only one I actually gave a description to. It's just like a warning that it's kind of annoying. It's also I think the big annoyance with this music is that it's a very short it's a very short loop. I'm going to try to incorporate player pickup script into the menu soon, just to make the pages and such for it, or just the toggle. Sure. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that, like, if you wanted to make that a genuine feature of it, you could easily make a module that interfaces with that. Or if the system works with just having a toggle for a game object being turned on and off, then that works great. I've never personally used the player pickup script in any of my worlds, but I've definitely been to worlds that have that. I've just never implemented it in a world of mine. But yeah, it should be plenty easy to set that up and have it working. And if not, it can certainly be easy to add a feature for it. I do like the little bop bop sound for the buttons. It's also spatialized for the button that you're using. The audio I'm using for this, the audio that I have here is actually from the Kenny asset packs, which is completely open source, completely free, CC0. And this one is for the Kenny interface sounds. So I left in the link for their Patreon and their website, but it's just Bong001. It's great. It is the UI sound that I use for things. And the big thing with this system is that when it's ready to play a sound to somewhere, it moves the audio source somewhere and does play one shot and does it there. It's wonderful. It's easy. It's simple. And it just works. Alright, with that, I am going to get myself some supper and work out a bit more documentation on this stuff tonight. It was great hanging out. And we got a few bugs fixed, actually. So, Pauludo, I don't actually know if you were, I don't think you were here earlier, but there was a slight issue with sliders where they weren't actually abiding by their default value, and now it works. So the full official release will have that working. Just the demo, like the pre-release package that you have will have that issue. But this should be importable right over that one as well, so you won't have any compatibility issues with it. It also wasn't applying the default value correctly, but that's fixed now as well. Yep, you can always update it later. Okay, one quick ramble before I head off. This package is going to be a Unity package. It is not going to be a Creator Companion package. The reason for that is the Creator Companion has a really nice package format that's really simple and easy to use. The problem is, it has to be open source. The GitHub the GitHub repository for the package and everything in the package has to be public. Which works great if that's what you're going for. But as someone who tries to sell assets, that's not a good idea for me to do. Like that's having something for sale on a website and completely free and accessible somewhere else is a market strategy that works for a lot of projects and a lot of people. But for this kind of thing, not really. So I'll unfortunately have to use a Unity package format, which is fine enough, I guess. But yeah, look forward to that. For free stuff, surprised I don't have a way. I know! I want paid for... Let me creator economy into the VCC. Please, I beg you. Maybe it's like an asset hosting issue, but I don't know. VRChat also is essentially an asset hosting platform. Like, that's what they do. But I don't know. I really wish that kind of thing was a system they had. Like, you could buy it on the website or something. Maybe one day. Yeah. I don't know. I really pushed for it when I was working there, and was the community manager for the creator economy. But yeah, I don't know. Here's hoping one day. All right, enough complaining. We'll see you all next time, and have a great week. I promise to have this out as soon as possible. If documentation just goes a little bit long, it'll be tomorrow. But thanks for everyone showing up, and we'll see you next time.